Good morning, everyone. I'm that dude over there, and I am a Fire Emblem fan. I am also a Danganronpa fan. So when Last Defense Academy was announced, you bet your sweet ass I was in the live stream commenting, Danganronpa, new mystery of the emblem. I always looked forward to Kodaka's games. They just have a style and flair to them that always makes me invested in their worlds. And with the game coming out roughly 3 weeks ago, as of writing this, I had finally finished the 100-day stretch. So I wanted to talk about it with you and show my support for such a great game. And if you're scared of spoilers, don't worry. I'll warn you ahead of time when to skip, when we get into the more in-depth story spoilers. For now, let me just get my nitpicks out of the way first. First off, I think that while I love the designs of the characters, both powered up and in their normal attire, some characters take way too long to get good. That or just don't sit well with me. In our roster of 10, about half of the characters make me want to skydive without a parachute. The twins really pissed me off, and it felt like their jump to support the team is just too sudden. Or the signs they were joining are way too subtle. Shoma is like my spirit animal, but I have to admit, his character can get a bit annoying at times. And then there's Gaku and Tsubasa. Gaku's selfishness, while understandable, makes him unbearable to listen to in the early game. Meanwhile, Tsubasa, who seems normal at first, has a running gag that feels like it was somebody's fetish. Like, it seemed normal at first since emotions are running high, but after the 5th or 10th time of it happening, I'm just sitting here like, why was this here? Next, some gameplay elements felt way too redundant or annoying to progress. Last Defense Academy decides to introduce a stat system similar to that of the Persona series. However, instead of stats that reflect character, they decide to introduce stats related to actual classes. You know, high school classes. And these feel like a pain to progress. Gaining points is tough, and not just because I have to go out and talk to people, but it feels like you never get enough. Or maybe I feel like that because I don't know the stat caps or anything. But regardless, these are necessary along with BP to upgrade skills and other things around the school. But BP is such a pain to obtain as well, needing hefty sums for later unlocks that farming just can't provide. And the features that help acquire stats or BP, again, just never feel enough, especially for the time necessary to collect them. And finally, I think the biggest problem I had with the game is that it barely tells you anything of what's going on. Every time it feels like we're about to learn something, the game goes out of its way to strip it away from you. I eventually turned it into a game to see if the character presenting information would die suddenly or just choose not to reveal the information. But enough cons, let's get into the real juice of the game. I love the battle system in Last Defense Academy. Each character plays so differently from each other and provide their own strengths and drawbacks. Characters like Gaku provide great range but lack firepower, while characters like Darumi have decent potential but can't be used as easily without leaving herself open. The game encourages offensive play and rewards players for understanding how to use their characters effectively. And with how Voltage plays into the game, it feels utterly satisfying to watch hordes go down with simple maneuvers. And here's the thing, while the battles scale in difficulty, it's not with their inherent strength, but with the new conditions to be aware of. Fog of War, the Berserk status, it challenges you to think rather than overpower. This gives my mind the warm fuzzies for feeling smart than powering through things. But aside from combat, the way the characters develop on your journey feels great to watch. I think Gaku is a really great example. While I did find him initially annoying, Gaku shows more of his humane side and can be quite the comedic character given the right circumstance. Shoma's transformation feels realistic, even if he continues to put himself down. And even when it comes to the twins, I love Kako's growth and showing off her passions. And I even grew to tolerate Ima. No, I never accepted him, but he doesn't constantly make me want to punt him across the room. The story itself, while feeling unnecessarily complex, is still just absolutely amazing to witness, making me constantly have to wonder what is really going on, but in a good way, not in a confusing, mind-boggling way. And with that said, this is my final warning before going into deeper spoiler territory. So if you don't want to watch or hear from this point, I'll throw a timestamp on screen or somewhere in the description to send you to the conclusion. This game is so good, and I highly recommend going into it blind. If you can afford to play it, that is. Alright, this is it. I'm gonna do it. Last chance to back out now. 3, 2, 1. Siri jump scare. Alright, now that I have the ones who actually completed the first 100 days, or the people who don't care about spoilers, let's discuss. I heard before playing that the first 100 days were all the same, and after completing it, yeah, I can understand why. I also understand why the game had to be cryptic in the first place, and I think it's actually really smart in hindsight. But that being said, while Eito was giving his speech about revealing his evil plans, I could only laugh as I was constantly reminded of,
remember that magnificent microwave casserole you had in your freezer? The one you were anticipating to taste for weeks when it blew up while you left it unattended? That was me, Barry. I blew up the casserole. Barry, do you remember the time the chair was thrown? It was me, Barry. I threw the chair. Barry, do you remember that time when you were 16 and fucked your sister in the dark because you thought she was unconscious? It was me, Barry. I was your sister.
That battle was so intense, and I'm surprised I managed to S-rank it. And honestly, I'm not sure if it's a matter of me being good or the bar being too low. Using Takami's ability for retrying the battle as a stepping stone for the time travel advancement is such a smart move, allowing me to finally be able to say things like, it has such a nice gameplay story integration, and actually know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm not far into Run 2 as of writing this, but having the timeline branch from Eito's fate is such a peak point to start from. I love how despite starting all over again, we're still learning so much about the characters. Like seeing how serious Sire can be by removing Eito's DNA from the recovery drones, and Hiroko being aware of our time jumping. But like all time travel stories, there's still things I find frustrating. Like everyone's eagerness to suddenly join after Sire explained everything. Like, I went back to watch people play the early days of 100 Line, and while I could believe Tsubasa or Kako being a little more interested in fighting, you really mean to tell me it encouraged Gaku and Ima instantly? Even Shoma is a bit of a stretch since his whole development required so much in comparison to these two. That being said, I have so many questions I'm just dying to know. Like, how did Hiruko come to the place she is? Is there a chance for Eito's redemption? Or is he full on Nagito where he'll never truly be convinced to be better? How do the enemies get impacted by our constant time jumping? Will Takamaru grow a beard? Let Takamaru have a beard. But in all seriousness, I can't wait to see how the game develops from here. And on this last note, I want to say that with these last two releases from Tokyo Games, they feel like evolutions of the Danganronpa games. Raincode feels like an evolution of Trigger Happy Havoc and Goodbye Despair, having you confront difficult, almost impossible choices and leaving you with an ending that makes you feel hopeful, if not excited to see where it goes from here. Meanwhile, Last Defense feels like an evolution of V3, having characters that are not always likable in a situation where you have to come up with the truth on your own. The truth is hidden pretty deep and ranges across the 100 endings, so you, the player, must uncover the hidden truth along with the ever-changing sides to these characters you interact with. It just feels really nice, and I really want to see where this goes. Oh, the timestamp guy should be joining in soon. Let's come up with some kind of lie to get them hooked and interested. Okay, I got it. But yeah, so much fun. I can't wait to see how the cat girl impacts the story. Shoma's new friend is going to be quite the chaotic person indeed. Ha 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 ha. Oh, hi. Glad to see you could join back in. Anyway, Last Defense Academy is such a great game, and I highly recommend it, especially if you want to go in blind. If not for the combat that just leaves me weak at the knees, then the amazing time and effort that went into developing the narrative. And if you are ready to sign up for the next war against evil invaders who want to feast on your flesh, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, leave a like and subscribe, as it helps idiots like me who suck at promoting videos. But until next time, stay safe out there.